Hello, everybody, and welcome to Todd and Shane's Cloudy Podcast, episode 443, recorded live Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019.
Hi, Todd.
Hello, Shane.
Hello. How goes it?
It goes well. It goes well. Did you notice? So we were both wearing our uniform of blue shirts. Did you notice this blue really pulls my eyes out? Did you?
Yeah, I mean, it's almost. I think that you're using like one of those Snapchat filters or something, right? I mean, your eyes are just popping today.
It makes my eyes all big. For those of you that are not listening to the or not watching the video, when you'll just have to take my word for it. That reminds me, that's something we haven't done in a while. We haven't pimped all the different ways you can get this podcast. So some people get it on their podcast listening platforms, and I haven't gone out recently to see where all we show up. We do not show up on Spotify. I checked out there. We have to get ourselves on Spotify. But I think we're on iTunes. I think we're on Google Play. I haven't looked. You can go to YouTube. You can go to youtube.com/ToddClintNetcast and get it there. If you go to my blog, toddclint.com, there's a blog post for every episode, and it has links to the show notes and the different platforms where you can get it. So subscribe to those. I'm trying to think where else to get it.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, I really wish people would do more of the YouTube, right? Because then you get to see your popping blue eyes. You get to see my sweet Halloween decorations. The video seems where it's at, but we have not picked up with the video consumers yet. Yeah,
well, I did check our numbers, and we do have way more than I thought we did on the download side. Not on the YouTube side, but on the download side. So if you know somebody who really likes bad podcasts, let them know about our podcast. And it's just a couple of guys just talking about crap. There's not enough podcasts out there, just random guys talking about crap they don't know. I think we need some more of those.
No, and we're one of the random guys who does it without drinking, right? A lot of those guys they bust out some brewskis or other adult beverages and drink along their own shows. I can only imagine the ends of those shows where they end up. But
yeah, I don't listen to any of those. But we've talked about the After Dark podcast any number of times. I think it would be as much of a train wreck.
Yeah. Well, one of the things I've wondered, right? So this would be a question to all the listeners. So obviously, I have made one or two YouTube videos in my day. I've thought about doing a series of like power apping with wine. What is the current social acceptance on that? Like, I mean, if I literally had an episode where I'm like, hey, today we're going to crack open this bottle of blah, 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 and we're going to build this feature, I mean, I would do it all for drinking and power apping, but I'm just wondering, is that offensive? Is that off-putting? I don't know.
See, I was thinking more of like a masterpiece theater thing where like you in a library with lots of books and oak and you sitting in your robe and having a glass of wine. And this evening we will talk about PowerApps. And then,
Okay. So once again, though, I mean, does this make my channel better, worse, stay the same? I have this fear that like some people be like, oh, this guy just, drinks. I can't watch these videos. I don't know. I have a fear that like it lessens the people that can watch it.
It just takes away from the great respect that you've garnered from your audience over the. I think there's no risk of that. Jason Himmelstein says that he writes his best PowerShell with Scotch, so there might be some, best power apps with wine. You never know.
Yeah.
Paul was saying the smoking jacket with Chewy. Yeah, absolutely. Chewy curled up at your feet has to happen. Yep.
So you're saying I need to get me a desk that smells of rich mahogany like pronto.
Exactly. And with all the green screen stuff, you won't even have to, film it in your library because I know you don't, have that. At least you didn't the last time I was at your house. Yeah. So yeah, I think you should do one or two of those and just see how they're received.
Interesting. Yes, Jason. It would definitely be a deep red wine. I mean, we would have to.
What is the correct pairing? That's awesome.
It would have to be a robust yet low alcohol volume, right? Because you got to get through the app. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to see what the boss lady thinks of this idea. I've thought about it for a while.
She hates fun. So as I imagine, like in your decision-making process, I imagine me on one shoulder in the devil costume and Nick on the other shoulder in the angel costume. And me going, no, power apping with wine is a great idea.
Now Paul's singing to us. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to get us off topic, but apparently our listeners in the chat room are very passionate about drinking and power apping. Good to know.
I think it will be well received. So one other thing you can't really tell is I have, for a few seconds, got the SysKit sign to hang from my wall.
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Again, those of you not watching the video have not gotten to enjoy my travails trying to get that to work. And I'm going to mention it later, but I'm going to mention it earlier too. Later next month, like a month from a couple of days ago, I'm doing a webinar for the SysKit folks on Office 365 offboarding. So there's a lot of information out there about how to bring people into Office 365. You create this, you write, forms to do this and this, but nobody talks about how to offboard, what things you should do when somebody leaves the company. And so I'm going to cover that one.
Fascinating. And I mean, you kind of already have it scoped out and figured out?
I got a little bit. I welcome any input that you have. This is a talk that I've never done before. And they had some ideas about things that they wanted. And I'm like, I've been thinking about this topic here. What do you think about this whole offboarding thing? And nobody talks about it. Nobody does it. So they were curious to see what I would do.
So just pull one random bullet point to suck me in. What is the number one thing in offboarding I should be thinking about doing, looking at?
Well, it's part of the process. Like when you offboard people, what happens to their OneDrive and how long does it happen? How should you go through and see how much content people have in their OneDrive, what you should do with it, make sure that the manager stuff's populated so that their managers get the email. So it's a lot of tools like that people don't think about, those kind of things. Are you deleting users? Are you just unlicensing users? What's the difference? Those kind of things.
Yeah, I bet that'd be a fascinating stat, is how many users are licensed in Office 365 that haven't used it in months or years. Just knowing like my client base, I can just see the accounts that, they signed up for the $8, $10, $20 a month account for that person. The person's gone, but no one's ever went through the offboarding process, to your point, to save the money of, turning that off.
Yeah. So that's I've got some rough notes. I haven't written it all out yet, but I'll run it past you before I get it locked in too hard. But that's I do a lot of migrations. Holy cow, that's almost all that I do. But there's that other side, and so it was as much for me as it was for the people watching it.
No, I like that. Well, we've always said that our sessions were all about entertaining us, so it makes sense.
Yes, they are. So that will be coming out. There'll be a link in the show notes, and then I'll blog it and all that too. But the offboarding done right. Thanks to the folks at SysKit for putting that all together, giving me a platform.
Very nice of them.
Speaking of topics,
okay.
I wanted to kick this off. I was doing some migrations, had a couple of really heavy ones that were really taking a lot of time. Mostly have rolled off of those. So I went back and I thought, what haven't I done since June? You remember June? It was like, I think I was only on my second or third vacation in June. It was a long time ago.
Did you cut the grass in June?
Yeah, I've been trying to work my kids into that. Funny story about that too. But then I realized I hadn't published a blog post in a while.
Oh.
So I think I had 10. I think I had 10 blog posts to produce. So I've knocked like 7 of them out in the last week, and I've got another one to do after the show, but I'm almost caught up. I think I'm only 3 behind.
Fascinating. That's
yeah. So I was kind of toying with that. I'm like, do I want to knock a bunch out and put them all, or just do a couple a day? So I've kind of staggered them out so that as they don't all just roll off and those kind of things. But I'm getting caught up.
Yeah, and I loved the idea of just they became the lost episodes, right? These are just the 10 episodes that never got produced. If you want to, so what does our friends at Freakonomics do? If you sign up for Stitcher, you can go get the lost episodes.
Yep. So that's so they're coming out. They're on their way, and there was some good stuff in there. I went through and looked because I have to do like the screenshots, the frames, and all that. So I listened to some of it, and there was some good stuff in there. I didn't want to take that away from the people, so it should be caught up here in the next couple of days.
Well, very nice, very nice.
And what have you been doing? I've been slaving away, producing podcasts down in the bowels with the steam engines and all of that. What have you been doing?
Well, so I was being a booth babe, right? That is one of my core competencies in life. I don't have the popping blue eyes like you do. I have more of a a steady blue eyes, right? Yours
You
get
should
people.
try this shirt. I
think
it's
that's
all
what
the
it
shirt.
is?
I think it's the shirt. I'll send you one. Yeah.
Oh, well, we would look good as twins. I mean, we almost look identical as it is.
It's always my mom's always getting us mixed up on Facebook. Yeah.
But no, so I was down at the Business Application User Summit thingamabob. Really what it is, it's a Dynamics conference that is slowly evolving into a Power Platform content.
Being taken over.
Yeah. So we've really, we went down there. We did our first booth as a company. So PowerApps 911 had their first booth. Yay us. We got lots of requests for Chewy. It turns out that getting Chewy to Orlando and into a conference was logistically a little more than we were willing to do. So we did do that. So we had the whole, I don't know. It was an interesting conference, right? Because it's so big. There's probably 7,000 people there, but
Wow.
it's literally 90% of them are not Power Platform. So like trying to wade through and be like, hey, you like the thing that I do. It was a little awkward, but it keeps kind of scratching, and slowly but surely the Dynamics people are kind of figuring out that they need to embrace the Power Platform. What I really enjoy though, like I have these meetings with Dynamics, right? I basically go into these meetings where there's like 20 or 30 people, and I'm the only person that understands the Power Platform. They're all Dynamics people. To have
Right.
like think sessions with Microsoft and things like that. And I'm having the same fights. Remember, with SharePoint when BPOS first showed up and the whole, I'll never go to the cloud. The cloud is dumb. I need my on-prem product forever.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the Dynamics world mostly is right now. They can't imagine that their Dynamics 2012, which is what typically most of them are on, could ever be upgraded and moved into the cloud. The cloud is dumb and stupid. And I just keep being like, guys, you just need to go back, read the history books. With SharePoint, we did the same story, and we all ended up out there. Then you got some other of these Dynamics guys. This one, I wanted to like pop him on the nose. He's like, well, so why can't you guys, he's talking to Microsoft here, he's like, why can't you guys just turn off the on-prem product? Just be like, peace out. On-prem gets turned off next week. What do you say to that? No.
Yeah.
This is why you don't get to make decisions.
Yeah, the technical infeasibilities of it are almost as big as the political infeasibilities of it. Yeah.
So, and I was trying to explain to him, no, really the way that you keep the on-prem people happy and you get them to move to the cloud is you keep telling them that there will be on-prem products for as long as they need them. That gives them the warm fuzzy so they can then go look at the cloud. And I was like, the SharePoint people, they've lost their minds in recent years, but the SharePoint people transitioned from on-prem to the cloud better than I think anyone ever imagined. And so I just really feel like they need to kind of go back and learn from that. So
Yeah, certainly better than I would have thought it was going to, and certainly better than I wanted to.
yeah.
It's a great product now. I remember back in the day, you and I hating on it, and those are funny days to look back on.
Yeah, we were definitely firm haters, right? The cloud, they're going to steal your whatever. Right? I mean, we were anti-cloud as we could be. And now when people talk to me about it, I'm like, dude, there is no way that your data center is more secure than being in Office 365. I know. Just no. You can't even entertain this conversation. And they're like, but.
I had that conversation with a customer Monday. I was doing some migrations, and I'm doing training for him as well. And one of the people in the training, I didn't realize this at the time, was a higher up at the company. And I was doing some demos and needed to make fun of a person. And so the way Skype for Business had it was like me and a couple of the organizers, and there was like one person who I didn't know at the end. I'm like, so I'm going to add, Jimmy to whatever. And this person ended up being like senior vice president or something. So she chimed in during the question and answer part and was asking about security. And she introduced herself, and I'm like, oh, hey. Thanks for being my, but it was not a questioning, but more of a help me understand. And so I was able to just spit out a couple of the examples that we give, all the time, and that was all that it took, just a couple of those, and
Nice.
And she was like, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense.
So I have a very similar story to that. So at MBAS and then this thing last week, I did the same session or a version of the same session, but I've built hundreds of Power Apps. Here are the things you want to know. And, I kind of do some super nerdy stuff, some business process stuff, and then kind of end back with some super nerdy stuff. But in the middle, when I was kind of doing the things that everyone already knows that they don't have any idea, so they really need to listen, but they don't want to. I was using one of my customers as an example. I was like, this guy, Don, that's all I said, right? This guy, Don, I was helping him with his project, and he had named all of his columns everywhere, and everything you possibly name, project. The word project was in his data everywhere. And so as we went to build out his app and connect all this stuff, we were relating project to project, and it just was terrible, right? Don't be like Don. So at Embaz, Don's like, yep, I shouldn't have done that. Shoot! So Don's sitting, 7 rows back over there.
Don.
So I apologize. Don's like, it's good, no problem. All right, whatever, it happened. I rolled with it. So last week, roughly the same session, I get to that part. I'm like, all right, I'm going to use Don as the example again. So I do the speech. Guess who was in the front row of that session? I hadn't seen him. I had no idea. Don was there again. I'm like, why don't you tell me you're going to be at these things?
It's a warning. Yeah.
So, you got to be careful when you pull in stories and stuff like that, who was there. And
I remember us having that issue with the stand-up to do heads and tails, and you mocking somebody and then referring to mocking them and then being in the audience when you referred to mocking them.
She took it like a champ, too. So...
Oh, that was some good times there.
Yeah. But so speaking of that session, it reminded me, they did something I'd never seen before. So they had one big room, like one of those giant hotel ballrooms, but we had 4 sessions going on in the room at the same time. But what they did, this is crazy, is they passed out headphones for everyone. And so you didn't listen to me talk, you listened to me through the microphone and the headphones, and it was, it was like those silent discos or whatever, where everyone's hearing it and doing it, but they're all in the same room listening on headsets. I'm gonna be the audience thought it was fine. They liked it. As a presenter, it's terrible. And the biggest reason why is weird, but something about being in the headphones, everyone kind of like puts on their inside voice, and so they're just muted the whole time. Like places where I knew that they were laughing, right? You could kind of see the little smiles, but they were all like afraid to laugh. They were all afraid to show any emotion. They were all just kind of in this world. And as a presenter, that was really terrible.
Yeah, you need the feedback. I remember the first time I presented in front of an audience that was a foreign country, not one of colony regions out or anything, but the audience, because of cultural issues, was very quiet. Mm-hmm. They didn't laugh, they didn't applaud, they didn't do whatever. And I thought I was just dying on stage. I thought it was just horrible. And I got done and I was just like, man, I'm gonna get killed. Like they're never gonna ask me back again. And like a whole string of people came up and like, oh, that was hysterical. That was great. It was would it have killed you to maybe guffaw or chuckle once? So yeah, you definitely do feed off that energy. I absolutely.
Yeah. So that was rough. The other thing that was hard that wasn't bad for me, but was hard for the other presenters in the room, is I'm on stage. Yeah. I use my stage voice, which can fill. I've filled some really large rooms without microphones.
We filled some rooms without mics. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, so it turns out all the other presenters could hear every word I was saying. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't set this thing up. I talk loud on purpose. And then the stages were like, so you were presenting to your audience straight in front of me, right? So we were looking at each other basically.
That would be distracting as hell.
Yeah, right, because you and I are used to working a room, but you can't work the room. You got to work like this small subsection of the room. And the slides that I could best see were the guy across from me slides. It was the audience. It was a good experience. As a presenter, it was terrible. So
yeah, I hope you gave him some feedback on that. That's it's good to know.
Yeah. So it was actually but overall, anyway, the conference was solid. It was I feel like there was a lot of people that were interested, and more of those dynamics people kind of walk over and be like, what's this PowerApps thing? So I don't want to get roped into your booth. I'm kind of sitting here with one foot hanging out, but can you just tell me a little bit and I can run if I need to? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so I didn't put this in the notes. I went to there's a Office 365 user group in Des Moines, and I went down to that last week, and they had a session on PowerApps, and it was good. The guy was there remotely. I've delivered remote a bunch of times. I've not ever sat through a remote session. It made me rethink those. I would be curious. I know, like, I've done those for Eric before. I would be curious to hear what their opinion of it was. It was some good stuff. I picked a couple of things up. It was a lot of basic things. It was good, but at the end, they did one thing that really pulled me out. So there's this whole concept that if you've got an experience, whatever the thing at the end, however it ended up is how you will remember it. So you can watch a really great movie. If it has a bad ending, the movie was bad. You can go to a crappy concert, but if the encore knocks it out, you end up remembering it as a great concert, things like that. So this session ends up probably feeling more dark for me than it really was in reality, because at the end he did this thing that I really hated. He pimped your YouTube channel and talked about how great it was and how much he loved it. And I've never sat in a room and vomited during a user group thing, but like, God, I just, like, you know how your mouth starts, you just know it's coming. I'm like, ah.
Did you make it to the hallway?
I didn't. I was able to swallow it back down, but I'm like, oh Jesus, you had such good, and then you had to ruin it all with, I go to Shane Young's channel. It was awful.
I'm sorry for that. Yeah, Perfect Storm is always my movie example of that. Right, I love everything about that movie, and then the end, and you're like, what? This is not how movies end.
For me, the example is City of Angels.
Okay.
Nick Cage, Meg Ryan. I don't know if you've seen that one, but Meg Ryan's this emergency room doctor, and Nick Cage is an angel, and he sees her save this person, and he falls in love with her. He renounces his angelship. It's this great thing. The soundtrack's great. Alanis Morissette, Goo Goo Dolls. The end of the third act, she's driving down the road on her bike, and she dies. She gets hit by a truck. And I'm like, get the out. I almost just stormed out of the theater. I have hated that movie for 25 years.
So I was very aware of the soundtrack. It was a great soundtrack. I never watched the movie.
Don't. It's awful. It is just so the song came on the radio, and I was telling Lily about that and giving this story, and I'm like, the movie was horrible. It had a horrible ending, and she's like, did they both die at the end? I'm like, no, even worse. He doesn't die. He gets to sit around and be miserable. She dies. Like, I almost had to pull the car over. I was so mad.
Poor kid.
So speaking of conferences, I'm going to Ignite here in a couple of weeks. I'm not presenting. I'm going as a worker bee. It's kind of, I've got no responsibilities. I've done zero planning. Kind of freeing, I'll be honest.
No booth babe duties. No chatting with the peeps. Just Todd rolling the halls.
Yeah, I mean, I'll chat with my own peeps, the people that I know. It's the whole class reunion thing.
Yep.
But I'm not. I don't have any responsibilities, which is kind of nice.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of envious of you getting to go and just be like, I'm here just to enjoy myself.
Yep. So there's some Praxis crews rolling in there. We rented a house for the 5 of us, so we're all doing that. Mark's renting a car, so I'm making him drive me around. So.
So this is just another vacation for Todd.
If it weren't Orlando, yeah, I haven't been there as much lately as I had that one bad stretch, but yeah, so it's going to be pretty easy.
Are you going to do a breakfast? You going to have a little breakfast action maybe?
I hadn't planned anything for that, and I'm only going to be there for a couple of days, and I don't know what all is going on, so I hadn't put anything together. But okay. It's just kind of a laid back sort of thing, so I'm kind of looking forward to it.
When is Ignite? Next
4th, November 4th-ish. Don't tell me I know this one. Yeah, so November 4th through the 8th.
Okay, so 2 weeks from now.
Yep. And then I'm going to Slovenia. So I'm only going to be in Orlando through the 6th. And then on the 9th on Saturday, I'm flying to Slovenia.
Hopefully they're going to keep you this time.
Well, I keep trying to get them to, and they won't keep me.
So Chris wanted me to be clear. Yeah, I am not going to Ignite. So I know that you guys are used to seeing me, and then you're like, I got to see Todd at the same time. That's sad for you. But unfortunately, this time I will not be there, so you don't have to see Todd because you will not be looking for me. So,
well, I know Chris is going to be there. I think Chris is celebrating a birthday there. I think. Yeah.
I mean, Chris is celebrating me not being there because it means he doesn't have to get to hang out with you. So,
well, Chris has already reached out to me to make sure that we're going to hang out.
But no. So that reminds me of this traveling stuff. got to the airport to go to the user group summit. Guess what I don't have anymore?
Status.
I have status. I didn't have TSA pre-check.
Oh my. Did you just turn around and go home then?
I honestly think Nicola thought about it. I think that it was like a strong chance that she would have, if I had brought it up, she was going to leave.
Yeah.
So we stood in the line with the common folks. I took my shoes off. I took stuff out of my bag. It was the worst, most awkward, embarrassing experience ever.
Yeah, it's so I don't even remember earlier this year. I think it was in February. I flew out someplace and found out that my pre-check had expired. And I found out like in the line, like I walked up like I owned the place and then tried to pre-check things like, oh, that's cute, sir. And they kind of tussle my hair. No, you go to the back of that line and go ahead and start loosening your shoes now because, yeah, it was pretty horrible experience.
Yeah. And Cincinnati wasn't terrible, but flying out of Orlando without pre-check was...
Yeah.
This is not the After Dark show, so I can't talk about it.
Yeah. So were you still coming off of the Delta pre-check?
Yes. So the whole black hole of like, no one's like, that doesn't exist. You've given me pre-check for the last 10 years. This number has to exist somewhere.
Yeah, it does not. So I had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And do it all. Yep.
So because I'm flying to New York on Sunday, so I was trying to get it done before then. But the problem is that, I could have gotten an appointment, but then I got to drive like an hour south, an hour. Right? I couldn't like make it work in a responsible way to get the pre-check done before. So
I was lucky. I could get pre-check. So if you get global entry, you get pre-check on top of that. But I couldn't get global entry quick, and there was no way I was going to fly again without pre-check. So I got pre-check separately. I only had to drive to Des Moines, but it was I drove 50 minutes down, sat for 7 minutes in the office so I could get pre-check, and it was time well spent. I would do it all over again.
So I would have to do that one day this week, and as you know, my schedule does not permit me, right? Because they're only open in like very narrow hours, and it's just not going to work. But because my passport's also expired, 'cause I had global entry, but I'm guessing that is expired as well. I need to like reset all this travel stuff, but I don't want to, 'cause I don't want to travel. So
yeah, I had to do that all, and I got my global entry stuff done. I scheduled an interview for that, but it was like scheduled 3 or 4 months out. And Jill and I were coming home from vacation number 6, I think, and we were in LaGuardia, and she noticed. So she still has pre-check because she got it after, or global entry because she got it after I did. So she noticed the sign when she went through that they had the interviews. You could just pop in. So I went there and I sat down and I waited for all the crews to go by and did my thing there. So I'm all set now, and I got it in Outlook when it expires, when pre-check expires, when global entry expires, all that stuff. So I can take care of it ahead of time. Painful. All right. So tell us, you had a good discovery this morning. Some tech that came through for you finally.
Yes. So finally, right? Do you guys remember what my number one complaint was about Teams? Right. My complaints are different than Todd's complaints. But my number one complaint has been that there was not a Meet Now functionality. Well, this morning when I was trying to figure out how Todd and I were going to have this call, because we can't use Skype anymore because of those problems, I jumped into Teams and I was like, all right, I gotta go create a bogus meeting so I can get the link to invite Todd. And at the top right corner was this glorious button, that said Meet Now. So Todd and I are doing the podcast from an actual real live Teams Meet Now meeting, and it makes me so happy.
I need to, and you didn't tell me about it until after I'd already joined the meeting, and I'm afraid to click anything in Teams, so I can't see if I've got it, because it's going to be based on your tenant and your, what flight your user's in and what version of the client you've got. So I don't know if I have it yet or not.
Yeah, I mean, I might have only got it for one try. I would also like to click the button and go look at it, but as we know, one of your pet peeves with Teams, you can't do more than one thing at a time, and that would be bad for the show.
Yeah, it's bad stuff. So that's good. And I after you mentioned it to me the first time, I did realize that yes, I did use that a lot, and it did start to bother me. So Chris says everybody has it now. That's good.
Well, thank you, Chris.
I quit looking at it. Looking for it. So that was good. What's your next one? I have not looked at that link.
Yeah. So finally, after a year or so, I finally wrote a class called PowerApps for SharePoint people. So it is a online, on-demand PowerApps training course, but it's 100% focused on SharePoint people. So you're coming from the SharePoint space. We only talk about SharePoint features. And we really just kind of go through the two different avenues. So whether it's customizing a SharePoint form, so taking a modern SharePoint list and making a better experience there with PowerApps,
Right.
or building a standalone app and using SharePoint as your data source. So finally wrote the class, finally got that released. Hoping that is, I know there's literally hundreds of thousands of people who need that class. Now I just got to find a way to see, does it scratch the itch and can I get people actually to sign up for it?
Well, and then there's always the difference between the people that need it and the people that know that they need it.
Yes.
So you got to get it out in front of them so they know that it's there.
Yeah.
But that's good.
And this one's kind of fun because this is the most, I don't want to say complete, but so with this one, so we've got the videos, right? So you can watch the videos like you would expect. But then we also have a standalone PDF document that if you want to redo the demos that you see, you can like follow along so you can get all the formulas and functions and recreate all the demos. So we thought that was a new addition. And then we also did, you can download the actual app that we built in class and then just install that in your environment. So you don't even have to redo the demos. You just have the app.
Very nice. Very nice.
So I wanted to see if people liked this idea of, more content and like the extra pieces other than just the video. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't know. I hope that this is something. I know that probably everyone that listens to this podcast, right? I think all you people need this thing. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Well, I will put a link to that in the show notes so that people can check that out. That is good. Yep, you just put it in the chat room. Good. Another thing that just came out. So you and I have had big man crushes on SnagIt for as long as I can remember.
Yes.
10 plus years. And I just saw that SnagIt 2020 came out and I quick, fast, and in a hurry downloaded that and installed it. And this is one of these things where, so in full disclosure, TechSmith, the great company, they give you and I SnagIt for free. Though I have paid for it in the past and would absolutely pay for it in the future if I had to. But I wanted to be upfront about that. So SnagIt is screen capturing software, but it's screen capturing software and so much more. And we could do a whole podcast on how great it is. But for me, it makes putting like captions and pointing things out on screenshots so much easier than trying to do it in MS Paint or whatever. One of the features, they didn't add it in the 2020 version. They added it in one of the previous ones where it'll do OCR stuff right out of your picture. And that has just absolutely changed my world. I was on a call with a customer a couple of days ago, and they were sharing their screen in Teams, and they were popping around, and they were on a web page that had some stuff they wanted me to try. And of course, it's this big nasty URL and nobody types URLs anymore.
Right.
So I knew I wanted to go back to that. So I hit print screen, took a screenshot of their page, and then I highlighted the address bar, right-clicked in SnagIt Editor, grabbed text, had the URL, pasted it in my notes, and the customers are talking about that, and they get done. They're like, "Oh, well, I'll send you this URL." I'm like, "Don't worry about it. I already got it." He's like, "How did you get it?" I'm like, so I tell him that. He's like, "You can do all that?" I mean, it was just that quick. It was like 10 seconds and I had the URL in my notes. So love me some SnagIt.
Yeah, and that's knowing about that feature and how well it works, it makes me consider things I do sometimes, right? So for example, I want to make as far as other thing we're going to talk about, I want to like make a video that promotes another product that we've got going on. And so I was going to kind of like show them in the demo, like show them what was in there. But I'm like, if I scroll through all this text, if somebody wanted to take the time, they could stop and frame by frame, screenshot it and pull out all of my text. So what I've thought about doing, because I'm going to be scrolling, you wouldn't be able to read it unless you did do that, is change all the text to say, haha, you paused this to steal the text and it's not here. Right? And, kind of a little Easter egg for the thieves. I don't know. But then I thought that might be going too far. But
that's a lot of work.
But these are things I think about, knowing how easy it is nowadays to get text with tools like SnagIt.
So easy. And another one and I've been using this now for a little over a year, the lunch menu for my kids is on a proprietary site somewhere, and it's only in a calendar view, and it's just impossible to consume. So before SnagIt added that OCR stuff, I would go out to that calendar once a month, and for every day, I would type in a calendar entry what the menu was, because I've got a bulletin board that shows all that stuff. And then once SnagIt got good at it, now it takes me about 10 minutes every month. I bring that calendar up, I take a screenshot of the page, and then I highlight each day, grab text, brings me up a text window, copy it out, paste it in the calendar, done. And so now I can generate that lunch menu a lot quicker by just grabbing the text. So many processes that works great for. So if you haven't already, go out to techsmith.com, check it out. They've got demos for SnagIt. And I use Camtasia a lot also. It's another great product. But SnagIt, everybody's like, I've got print screen. I've got the snipping tool. I don't need SnagIt. I was there. I was that person. If you take SnagIt for a spin, you will fall in love with it and wonder how you lived without it.
Yeah, well, the big thing for me with SnagIt that I do that a lot of people don't appreciate is I use it to edit all of my images, right? It turns out that I have to edit images every day of my life. And so more than I literally like will screen snip with the snipping tool and then open that snip in SnagIt because it's got just such a great experience for
the SnagIt
extracting
editor
text.
is amazing.
Yeah.
Just all the great tools, and they look good, and big fan. So thanks to TechSmith for making such a great product and continuing to innovate on that.
So
all right, we just got a couple of minutes left. Pick what your next favorite thing is.
We'll do H then. We only got a minute or two left here.
All right.
So, make lots of YouTube videos. I think we've talked about this before. One of the things that fascinates me, right, because I watch the initial views, right? So when I release a video, basically I'm always kind of like, how long is it going to take me to get to 1,000 views? And it's what I've found, because sometimes Nicole will be like, oh, you can't put that out on Friday night. I'm like, it's fine, right? When I put these things out, typically doesn't affect it. But what has really affects them that really annoys the you-know-what out of me is the topic. But it's the opposite of what you think. The videos that I make that are like, send emails to your grandma in HTML format, yay! Right? That 1,000 views is it's just instant. I mean, boom. As fast as people can watch it, they do it.
Yep.
But then sometimes I'll make good nerdy videos that are like core things you need to know. Like, so here's a deep dive on this one function that I know you don't want, but you need this deep dive video. Yeah. And they will not watch those videos. And it just drives me crazy because I feel bad that I don't have some of these nerdy concepts, but I just know that no one's going to watch the nerdy concept. But if I make the fun one that doesn't teach the depth that I needed, but teaches this overarching
they want the quick
thing.
win, yeah.
Yeah. And so it just drives me insane.
Yep, I picked up on that a while back, and it's probably because I am that guy. I want the quick win. So if you look back at any of my blog posts, the title is always how to do blah 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 in PowerShell, and it's just that quick win because I discovered the same thing. So yeah.
I don't know. I'm just complaining to complain, but it's just funny when I watch it happen every time. I'm like, oh no, they want this one. They need this one. No.
Yeah. And folks, I don't know if you understand, Shane probably has like a 65 or 70-inch TV mounted on the wall in his office that is just constantly on his YouTube stats page and refreshing like every 3 to 7 seconds. He lives and dies by that.
And I send the updates straight to Todd's inbox or text messages. Sometimes I send
screenshots.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So to your point, I know that in the last hour and a half, 5 people have watched the video that I'm currently complaining about.
Yep, it's
which is, yeah, it's all very interesting. So,
yep. All right, well, let's close this out. I've got something at the top of the hour. You probably do too. So I don't have much. I'm speaking in Slovenia at the Thrive conference here in a couple of weeks. If you're in Europe, or if you're not, honestly, Slovenia is a great place to visit. Go to thriveconf.com. Sign up for that. Great conference, great country. Love going there. This is like the 4th or 5th or 6th time I've been there. I forget. It's great. Go there whenever I can. The other thing is I'm doing the thing for SysKit. So I'm going to blog that here once I get some of these podcasts out so the podcasts don't roll that off my blog roll. But that is Thursday, November 21st, 10 a.m. Central Time. And that is Office 365 user offboarding done right. So join me for that and check out all the great things that SysKit has.
Awesome. I have literally nothing as far as events coming up. I made him spit. I waited until he got it in his mouth. I'm doing some private trainings. I'm traveling for that, but you guys don't,
we don't care about that. You're making it.
No. But no, I don't think I have any current ones. So I'm just going to have to, get all my fame and glory by making more of these YouTube videos, which will clearly be topical instead of referenceable because, I like, to your point, I like views.
Yeah.
Stacy asked, can I see who is watching? I cannot see literally who's watching at any given point, but I can get a pretty good idea of how many people are watching at any point.
Yeah, you can. You can do that. So, well, everybody, thanks. Chat room, I'll be around for a little bit if you want to chat. But if this hopefully will go out and will be published before next week's. How great will that be? Crazy. That is the goal that I'm setting for myself. So, but other than that, thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Toodles.